Do you ever feel like you can't go more than 5 minutes without checking your phone? Or maybe you've caught yourself scrolling through social media, saying, just one more video, only to look up and realize hours have passed. We've all been there. If you're reading this right now, you're probably already feeling the pull of instant gratification, even as you try to focus on something else. It's an undeniable part of modern life, this craving for quick rewards, instant pleasure, and the constant buzz of stimulation. But here's the catch. While we're hooked on the thrill of right now, we're also paying a price we don't always see. Instant gratification isn't just about getting what we want right away. It's a deeper issue that's quietly become an addiction, eroding our focus, patience, and long-term happiness. It's something we rarely acknowledge, yet it's shaping the way we live whether we like it or not. In today's world, everything is built for speed. Whether it's ordering food, binge watching an entire season of a show, or sending a message with a tap, we've become so accustomed to the idea that everything should be at our fingertips instantly. But here's the problem. This craving for immediate rewards doesn't just affect what we buy or watch, it affects our relationships, careers, and even our mental health. We want everything right now, but what happens when we don't get it? How does this constant need for instant pleasure impact us on a deeper level? So, what's really behind this need for instant gratification? And more importantly, how is it impacting our lives in ways we might not even realize? Let's take a closer look at why we're addicted to now and how this addiction is keeping us from living our fullest potential. Now, take a moment to reflect. How many times today have you given in to the temptation of instant gratification? Maybe it was a quick scroll through social media or grabbing a snack you didn't really need. Think about that moment. Now, imagine if you didn't give in to that urge. How different would your day look? Think about it for a second. Instant gratification is the desire to experience pleasure or fulfillment without delay. It's all about seeking immediate rewards for things we want right now. Whether it's indulging in a favorite snack, checking your phone, or binge watching your favorite show, the goal is instant pleasure with no waiting. This craving is deeply rooted in our psychology, driven by the release of dopamine, a neurotransmitter linked to pleasure and reward. Every time we experience something that feels good, our brain rewards us with a dopamine hit. That burst of dopamine makes us feel good, and we begin to associate certain behaviors like checking social media, eating junk food, or playing video games with getting that immediate pleasure. Over time, this can lead us to seek that instant satisfaction more and more, reinforcing the cycle. In today's world, we're living in a culture of convenience that feeds this need for instant gratification. Technology, social media, and fast food have created an environment where everything is available at the tap of a button. We can order food, binge watch a series, or send a text without waiting for anything. It's all about speed and immediate access, and that convenience makes it harder to resist. The ease of getting what we want right when we want it has become ingrained in our daily routines. For example, think about this. You're working on a project or studying for an exam, and suddenly your phone buzzes. You think, I'll just check it for a second. But before you know it, an hour has gone by, and you're deep into a social media scroll or watching random videos on YouTube. What started as a quick glance turns into a deep dive of distraction, all because your brain craves that dopamine rush. Think of dopamine like a little reward coin your brain gives you every time you experience something pleasurable. The more coins you get, the more you want to keep playing the game. And in this digital age, it's so easy to keep collecting those coins. In fact, studies show that the average person checks their phone over 80 times a day, often driven by that very need for instant gratification. At the heart of our craving for instant gratification lies the brain's reward system, which plays a key role in how we experience pleasure and motivation. The main player here is dopamine, often called the feel-good neurotransmitter. Whenever we do something rewarding like eating our favorite food, getting a notification, or achieving a small goal, our brain releases a dose of dopamine. This little burst of dopamine makes us feel good and reinforces the behavior, encouraging us to do it again and again. But here's the tricky part. Our brains are wired for short-term rewards. We crave instant gratification because of how our brains evolved. In the past, quick rewards like finding food or escaping danger were crucial for survival. Today, we don't face the same life or death situations, but our brains still operate on that same system, constantly seeking immediate pleasure and satisfaction. When we give in to instant gratification, we reinforce a cycle of short-term pleasure over long-term goals. Think about it. Every time you scroll through social media or grab a snack to satisfy hunger immediately, you're training your brain to keep seeking that instant hit of dopamine. But what's happening in the background is that the more we seek these quick rewards, the harder it becomes to focus on things that take effort and patience, things like finishing a big project, sticking to a healthy routine, or maintaining deep, meaningful relationships. Over time, constantly chasing dopamine hits can have serious consequences. One major effect is that it makes it harder to stay focused on important tasks. If your brain is always chasing that next quick hit of pleasure, you're less likely to buckle down and work on long-term goals that require sustained attention and effort. Studies have shown that the average person checks their phone over 80 times a day, often driven by the need for instant gratification. With each notification, we're reinforcing that cycle, picking short-term rewards over productivity. And it's not just about focus. This constant craving for dopamine can harm our relationships and well-being. When we prioritize instant rewards, we might neglect the deeper, more fulfilling aspects of life, like spending quality time with family or taking the time to work on personal growth. In fact, constant dopamine chasing can lead to feelings of dissatisfaction, anxiety, and even depression, as we find it harder to derive fulfillment from the more meaningful, long-term goals that require patience. We live in a world that's designed for speed. In our high-speed world, everything is available at the touch of a button, leading us down the path of instant gratification. But what happens when we give in to these quick rewards too often? The consequences can profoundly impact various aspects of our lives. One of the first casualties of instant gratification is our productivity. Each time we succumb to a quick dopamine hit, whether it's checking our phone or watching a short video, we're pushing aside more important tasks. The more we chase these quick rewards, the more our brains get used to immediate gratification, making it harder to focus on tasks that require time and effort. Think about the last time you sat down to work on a big project, only to find yourself scrolling through social media for just 5 minutes. Before you know it, hours have passed and you've accomplished nothing. This cycle of distraction becomes more ingrained over time, and tasks that once felt manageable now seem overwhelming. Instead of tackling long-term goals, we settle for short-term rewards that give us a temporary sense of pleasure, but leave us feeling unproductive and unfulfilled. The impact of instant gratification extends far beyond our work habits. It affects our mental health too. Constant distraction from our phones, TV shows, or social media creates an environment where we're always seeking the next quick hit. This relentless stimulation can lead to anxiety and stress. We may find ourselves feeling overwhelmed when we try to focus on something important, because our brains are so accustomed to the instant gratification cycle. It's as though our minds are addicted to that next notification, that next hit of dopamine, and when we don't get it, anxiety begins to creep in. Instant gratification also significantly weakens our personal relationships. When we're constantly distracted by the lure of immediate rewards, we spend less quality time with the people who matter most. Instead of having meaningful conversations, we're checking our phones or binge watching the latest series. This shortens our attention spans and takes away from those moments that truly matter. Over time, the people around us start to feel neglected, and we begin to lose touch with what really makes relationships strong, authentic connection, and undivided attention. Take Sarah, for example. Initially, her habit of checking her phone during work breaks seemed harmless. She'd scroll through Instagram or watch a YouTube video, telling herself it was just a quick distraction to break up the workday. But over time, Sarah noticed she was getting less done at work. Missed deadlines became frequent, and she found herself scrambling to catch up at the last minute. The small distractions added up, making it harder for her to stay on top of tasks. Her productivity plummeted, and she began to feel more stressed and frustrated. It wasn't until Sarah took a step back and realized how much her habit of chasing instant rewards had taken over her life that she decided to make a change. She set boundaries, limiting her phone use during work hours and allowing herself time to recharge without the constant urge to check social media. Slowly, Sarah regained control over her work and her relationships began to improve. But it was a hard lesson to learn, one that showed how easily we can fall into the trap of chasing quick satisfaction at the cost of what truly matters. In today's world, our environment is actively reinforcing our desire for instant gratification at every turn. It's no longer just a matter of indulging in small pleasures, it's a lifestyle. Every day we're bombarded with an endless stream of stimuli, all designed to give us what we want when we want it. The primary culprit here is technology. Our smartphones, social media, and apps are expertly designed to grab our attention and keep us hooked. Think about it, with every notification, our brains receive a little dopamine hit, pulling us back in like a moth to the flame. These devices are engineered to make us crave more, whether it's the next like, the next message, or the next video. Then there's consumer culture, which has evolved to cater to our demand for instant access, making convenience a top priority. Need food? Tap an app and it's delivered in minutes. Want a new outfit? You can shop from your couch and have it in 2 days with free shipping. The idea of waiting for anything has become foreign to us. Everything is just a click away. Adding fuel to the fire is FOMO, fear of missing out, a constant pressure amplified by technology. We're constantly connected to everyone we know, and the fear of missing out on a trend, an event, or even the latest meme makes us feel like we have to stay updated 24/7. It's like a race to keep up with the fast-moving world around us, and we're wired to feel anxious if we fall behind. These little dopamine hits keep us coming back for more, leading to hours of mindless scrolling and an inability to resist the lure of immediate pleasure. It's not just social media that pulls us in though. Fast food, instant streaming, online shopping, and even news updates are all designed for quick satisfaction, reinforcing the idea that waiting is something to be avoided at all costs. This culture of instant access has made waiting for anything feel like a major hassle. We're so used to having what we want at our fingertips that even the thought of delayed gratification feels like a frustrating inconvenience. The constant availability of everything has conditioned us to think that we deserve immediate rewards for minimal effort, making the idea of working for long-term goals feel outdated and counterintuitive. In the end, our environment has set up a constant loop of rewards, making it harder and harder to break free from the urge to seek instant gratification. Research shows that the average person checks their phone over 80 times a day, constantly seeking that next burst of dopamine. It's no wonder we find it so difficult to disconnect and focus on anything that takes time and effort. Think of instant gratification as a siren song promising pleasure with each pull, but leaving you stranded, craving more without ever feeling truly satisfied. The more we give in, the harder it becomes to escape, and the cycle continues. We all know how easy it is to fall into the trap of instant gratification. The constant pull of quick rewards can feel almost impossible to resist, especially when they're right at our fingertips. Whether it's checking your phone, scrolling through social media, or grabbing a snack, these little dopamine hits keep us coming back for more. The problem is, this behavior can disrupt our focus, productivity, and even our well-being. So how do we break the cycle? The first step in overcoming instant gratification is becoming aware of the urge when it strikes. Mindfulness is the practice of paying attention to your thoughts, feelings, and impulses without judgment. Once you become aware of these urges, you can start to manage them better instead of giving in every time. For example, next time you feel the urge to check your phone, pause for a moment and ask yourself if it's really necessary. Building the ability to delay gratification isn't about depriving yourself. It's about learning to manage your urges. One effective method is the Pomodoro technique. This involves setting a timer for 25 minutes of focused work, followed by a 5-minute break. It's a simple way to help you stay on task while giving your brain a quick reward without falling into the trap of constant distractions. Over time, you'll train your brain to focus on tasks for longer periods. Long-term goals can also be powerful motivators. Think about future rewards that are far more meaningful than a fleeting moment of pleasure. For example, imagine the sense of accomplishment you'll feel when you achieve your fitness goals or advance in your career. When you shift your focus to these long-term rewards, the pull of instant gratification becomes easier to resist. Your environment plays a huge role in whether you'll give in to instant gratification. Start by turning off unnecessary notifications on your phone and computer so you're not constantly pulled away from your tasks. Create a dedicated workspace free of distractions. Small adjustments in your environment can help you stay focused and more in control of your actions. Another helpful strategy is focusing on small wins. The journey to breaking the cycle of instant gratification is all about incremental progress. Celebrate the small successes along the way, whether it's finishing a task or resisting the urge to check your phone for an hour. These small wins add up and help you stay motivated. Remember, breaking the cycle of instant gratification won't happen overnight, but with mindfulness, small changes, and focusing on long-term goals, you'll begin to take control of your habits. The more you practice delaying gratification, the easier it becomes to resist the temptation of quick rewards and start seeing bigger, more lasting results. As we navigate the digital age, it's essential to recognize the delicate balance between enjoying the convenience of modern technology and avoiding the traps of instant gratification. While it's fine to indulge in quick pleasures, we must remain aware of their addictive potential. The key is not to eliminate instant gratification entirely, but to know when it enhances our lives and when it starts to hinder our focus, relationships, and personal growth. I encourage you to start with one small change. Perhaps you could turn off notifications during meals or dedicate the first hour of your morning to something productive instead of diving into social media. Start small and notice how it shifts your day. To test your resolve, take a moment right now, put down your phone, and spend just 10 minutes on something you've been avoiding. It's a small step, but practicing the art of delay, even briefly, can be incredibly empowering. Remember, overcoming the lure of instant gratification isn't about perfection. It's about making consistent progress. Every small victory is a step toward regaining control over your impulses, improving your focus, and strengthening your relationships. Finally, I invite you to share your thoughts and experiences. Did you take up the 10-minute challenge? What small change have you implemented? Join the conversation in the comments below or share your journey on social media. Let's inspire each other to embrace the rewards of patience and perseverance. Together, we can break free from the cycle of instant gratification and create more mindful, fulfilling lives.